Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Nip and a Half Fantasy Football Podcast from Fantasy Football Hub. Paul, how are you? And how was your weekend? Again, a funny weekend because there's no FPL, but lots of implications going on this time of season. Every match has such huge meaning across fantasy games, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I was thinking of you the other day. I was watching a clip on something, and it was Alan Rickman. Was it Alan Rickman? No. What's the guy from Man versus Food? Is it
Adam Richman.
Adam Richman? Yeah,
Alan
Alan
Rickman
Rickman.
was
Yeah, he's
in
a
Harry
famous act,
Potter
famous,
and
yeah, famous actor, right? So he doesn't remind you of he doesn't remind me of you necessarily, but the guy was in Scotland,
right.
and he was at this like breakfast restaurant, and he was trying like their super sub sandwich or whatever it was, and he replied to the guy in like a Scottish accent, but it reminds me of when you do so I married so I
Yeah.
married an axe murderer.
Like an over-exaggerated
Yeah,
stereotype sort of thing. Yeah, was it? Hang
yeah.
on. Something
Uh,
heat. Something heat. No. Something like that. And yeah.
that's the one. That's the one.
Heat
No,
newspaper.
good.
No. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Good weekend. Well, I think, 24 points and Telegraph doesn't look on the surface a good weekend, but I guess like FA Cup, there's lots of rotation anyway, so I was pretty happy with that. And I almost had a storming weekend in Dream Team, but
Oh, I
for
know
the
what you're gonna
last
say.
minute,
The
for
last
the
goal.
last minute, it was like a 10-point swing because Kulusevski essentially got 5 points for that assist at the end and lost Martinez's five as well. However, I was thinking about this on my walk today. So I was going to get a coffee, and and people wonder like how we spend so much time thinking of fantasy football. This is what I was doing on my walk to go and get coffee, and I was thinking, yeah, but I'm a long-term play guy. If you told me at the start of the day that these were the points I was going to get,
Exactly.
or at the start of the day, if you told me that Kulusevski and Diaz combined was going to get 12 points, I would have bitten your hand off, and therefore I'm happy with like keep at peace with it.
That's the mental state to be in for fantasy. 100%. I had the opposite because I didn't have Martinez, but I had Kulusevski. So when Tell scored, I was bouncing. I was like, come on. I was waiting for Spurs. I thought Spurs would score because Villa don't keep many clean sheets at all, do they? And when they got at the end, especially with the Kulusevski assist, that was sweet. Yeah, just let's touch on Dream Team then first, is it? Rough weekend for me. Goodness. Devrabka play. Oh, you owe me a fiver, by the way, because he played on
I
Thursday.
did text you. I did
You
text you,
did. You
and
did. I
I
was.
text. Nobody texts.
Yeah.
I did WhatsApp you,
WhatsApp.
and and yeah, declared defeat. So
You did. I was actually in hospital when you texted me, which is probably why I didn't give you a prompt reply. I said I had a bit of allergic reaction when I was away, so I spent Newcastle Arsenal in A&E, but fine now. But yeah, I think I predicted him to start in there, and I also predicted Pope to start in the FA Cup. But I did look at all the predicted lineups on the Newcastle forum and stuff, and they all had Dubravka to all the ones I saw anyway had Dubravka to start. So I wasn't going to move him on anyway. I'd already kind of made my mind up, I think, on getting Gakpo in as a kind of a safe-ish move and getting Haaland back. You know, they were my two priority transfers, but I was gutted when Dubravka didn't play, but I was gutted again when Gordon didn't play either because I had both of them, and that I knew so many people have got Martinez, and sort of Luis Diaz, another midfielder as well. So I was really disappointed. So I've had a rough week so far. I've only got 24 points. I saw quite a few people, including yourself. Oh no, you didn't, did you? You didn't go for Marmoush in the end. You went for someone else. But I kind of saw this week as I feel I'm a move or two behind you because I think this week I'll be making two moves for players you've already got, I think, which is really annoying. But still kind of looking around the upper, I'm 29th now. I've gone down from 18th to 29th. I have got 4 Liverpool and 2 Man City tomorrow, so I'm hoping to kind of climb back up a few places. But it was just a week for me of, get Gakpo and Haaland back, cover the high ownership players and all this sort of stuff. So 24 points so far, though, a bit grim. How was yours? You were tossing up with Marmouche and goodness knows
Yeah,
who else.
so I was talking up Marmish and I was going to do it. So I was going to take Gakpo, like, as everyone was getting Gakpo, and I was going to take Gakpo out because I didn't think he would play at the weekend. And then Gakpo's away stats are much worse than his home stats. And so single away to Everton,
Yeah,
like, can't do too much damage. I didn't think he'd be highly captained anyway. So I was contemplating bringing Marmoush in for him. And I was always doing Isak to Haaland anyway. So
yeah.
that change was always in place. But there's a couple of reasons I didn't end up doing Marmoush in the end. One, I spent too long looking at Man City forums, and there was a training pit. I don't know if you saw this. There was a training picture came out from like one of the players at City tweeted it.
All right, okay. No, I
Or
didn't.
put on Instagram. I don't know. Oh, so you didn't see this?
No,
So you didn't
no.
see this? But there was 11 of them in the picture, all with the same color bib on, and they had obviously won the training game or whatever. And it looked what very much could have been the
Yeah,
11 starting on Saturday, and Marmoush wasn't in it, so it like really
wow.
spooked. And you know, like Haaland wasn't in it,
Yeah,
Foden wasn't in it, a few of the other regulars, and I was like, and it really spooked, it really spooked me. So that was one reason, and then second was probably possibly more logical. Um, I knew that I'd want Gakpo back in next weekend, so was I taking a player out to move the player back in?
yeah,
So I nervously got rid of a player, and I'll talk about that player in a second. And then I was looking at who to bring in instead of them. And I did want a punt. And knowing that I was going to be taking this player out next week anyway, it wasn't, yes, I'd probably move this new player on again, but it wasn't two moves that I was in signposting in case I got an injury. Like if turns out Trent's
yeah.
out longer, like I'd have a problem there. So I brought in Savinho. Didn't captain, but played, got 8 points, and then he's got a chance of getting points midweek as well. So I was really, really happy with the outcome. I took out Gordon as well. But I expected Gordon to
I
start,
mean,
so it just worked out. Like obviously, double A is good for me from that perspective. However, also when Man City team lineup comes up and Marmish is playing, I was like massive regret at that point in time. Albeit Savinho was in the team, so
yeah,
it wasn't too bad. I don't bet a lot, but Sky Bet had a boost on 3 shots on target for Marmish. So think of like the perfect outcome for me from that game. It was like 5-1. I put £20 on it.
oh,
So the perfect outcome of the game is he does nothing but gets 3 shots on target, no goals, no assists. So I win the bet, and obviously didn't like hamper me by not going on. So yeah, I'm on 41 points for the weekend. Like really happy with the way things are.
yeah, nice.
I'm actually at a loss of what moves to make this week. Like Savinho's got a double next week. I'm never going to roll, but I don't know that like Palmer was always like, I'll bring that move forward forward a week. I was like, I'd consider getting rid of Fernandez, but then I look after this week against Spurs. Man United's got 4 doubles
Yeah,
back to
yeah. You
back.
need to be careful now because even though Chelsea have got the double, they're out of the FA Cup, so they've got a single a week after as well, haven't they? But
Yep.
I think Palmer has been named in the Conference League team as well. So again,
Yep.
after that, he's all right. So it's whether you want to. But I don't think Palmer, anecdotally, looking at his points, he hasn't been doing an awful lot these last few weeks. He's been getting like normally he would get 9-10 points, even with very limited sort of if he doesn't score an assist, he was still more than capable of getting sort of 8, 9, 10 points. But I've been looking recently; he's been getting more like 5, 6, which is he's not potentially not as essential as he was. But the fixtures are good. I think they got like Leicester and Southampton and all these sorts of teams. So yeah,
So I'm pretty open to some like one or two punts because we've got this double game week coming up in game week 25,
yeah,
and then so I can bring forward moves next week. Like if I was taking out Savinho, even though he's got a double, it's not really like well, it's not a
just
double if you don't think he's going to play
be
twice.
a bit careful with that, mate. I just
What about?
getting him in early because what if they get injured? should be
Yeah,
sick.
but
Your
what
punt's
otherwise?
injured before you've even got him in for what after you've
Yeah,
wanted him for.
but I'm not taking out highly owned players
Yeah,
to do it.
but there must be other players, sort of longer term strategic players who you may want.
I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know that there is.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, yeah. Well, it's gonna be an interesting evening tomorrow. So there's quite a spread in the captaincy as well. There's a few out for Haaland, which I was not surprised really. I mean, I normally just go with the polls, but I thought that Salah would be higher. But I know Madrid are struggling at the back, aren't they? Everyone's out injured and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting week or two. I think my moves, like just ahead of just thinking ahead now to next week. My obvious moves, I think, are Gordon and Davrabka to Rodgers and Martinez, which I don't really want to do. I'll get Rodgers definitely. I'm not sure about Martinez yet. Still, I know he got
Allison, like
yeah, exactly. Especially now they're out of the FA Cup as well.
He's going to play the league and the Champions League, isn't he? So
yeah, but it does depend as well. Obviously, if Trent. I think Trent will probably miss tomorrow, but I'm guessing it'll be, he nearly made it. He might be back next week. He's not the kind of player you want to be moving in and out, especially in a defensive role, because there's not sort of many options really, is there, in defence? City's fixtures are really, really tough, and it's only Liverpool. You'd probably go Trent to Bradley, back to Trent anyway. So, and obviously Bradley missed out yesterday. And obviously Liverpool are out of the FA Cup now, so they don't double now in that 1 week. Anyway, so I'm blabbing on now, but yeah, I think Gordon to Rodgers and Davrabka to I just had Martinez in my mind, but probably Allison, I think, but I'll give it some thought. Welcome everyone in the chat. AP is in, Anup, Windy is in, Bobby Shearer. Cloudy Sky Ian is in. He asks a data-related question. Apparently, the Orient goal was 0.1 xg. There's no way that same attempt goes in 10 times out of 100. Does the model need remodeling? 0.1 xg. Is it because he was off his line? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it was the keeper's xg because it was an own goal.
Maybe. I would say that.
It wouldn't have been, because it would have been like. Whatever.
I would say, because he was so far off his line, that 1 in 10 is, I don't know, maybe reasonable, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know is the answer. Not a great answer. I don't know. 1 in 10 from there with the keeper so far off his line. I mean, if the keeper's on his line,
I think that's
no chance. Or do you think it's a mistake? Right.
Yeah, I think it's like, yeah.
Jason Manners is in. Well, I suppose I don't know, me with my left foot, I think that's kind of like 0.4 xg. You with your right, maybe like 0.0 something if you're happy with that, but each to his own. Dave is in. Clive Fisher is in. First time catching this live, I've dropped out of the top 10 on the leaderboard. That's hard luck, Clive. Colin Johnston is in. Says drive home pod. Dave says, hope no Latin effects, Fergie. All good. Just a one night, Dave. I need an EpiPen. I'm just stupid. And Viney said it would probably go in 1 in 10 times against City. Yeah, it probably would. They do have this knack, City, don't they, of just conceding these wonder goals. I remember holding Edison a few seasons ago, and they conceded 6 or 7 games on the trot, but every one of the goals they conceded were like barnstorm, was like 20 yards right in the top corner. Edison didn't even move, sort of thing. I think it was the season you won it. I think that was the season you went for Pope and I went for Edison on the overhaul.
It was like a 50-point swing or something like that.
But Edison didn't they weren't even defending that badly. They still had like really low XGC and all this sort of stuff. But they were just these barnstorming goals going in from everywhere that Edison couldn't even get anywhere near. But anyway, should we take a look at TFF? Interesting evening this evening with Palace, I think, being incredibly ripe for investment. How was your TFF weekend?
Yeah, I got 24 points at the weekend, which I think put me up slightly, 180th overall. But I was pretty happy with how things worked out. Gordon was pretty popular. I didn't have Gordon. I don't have any other outside of Salah. I don't have any Liverpool assets. So again, to see Liverpool fully rotate their team was pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, so I was pretty happy the weekend, and yeah, I agree with you on the Palace front. I think Munoz and Mateta, who I've got both of them in place, and I don't mind that being an obvious thing now because I don't need to make the transfers of which people around me are potentially going to make to get those players in. I know a lot will have Munoz already, maybe Mateta. I got his points from the Man United game last week, which I was
You got the
really
brace, didn't
happy
you?
about, and I don't mind if people are starting to get the same team as me, but with the use of transfers, based on being pretty happy with how
I bet you
positioned.
don't, you swine. You're just sat there sort of like cheesy.
It's a Liverpool one I'm a bit more nervous about in terms of what I do midweek and plan on that. 'Cause I didn't know that Fernandez would be as popular necessarily as what he is, but I looked at the Ultimate Fantasy Leaderboard
Mm.
after Friday night and the number of 7 pointers in the top 20. I think it was like maybe like 75%, maybe like say 15 out of 20 had the 7 points or something that made it obvious that they had Fernandez because he was going to be my makeshift to get maybe Van Dijk in, especially if Trent doesn't play midweek. I don't know that I fancy many of the other assets. I don't want to get rid of Isak or Mateta, so I don't want to bring in Gakpo. Um, so Fernandez to Van Dijk's maybe the move that I'm going to make midweek.
Who was it? Sorry,
Fernandez to
Van
Van
Dijk.
Dijk.
The only thing with Bruno is I know he doesn't play now. Like you know, if you look at the tickers, he doesn't play for ages. It seems, but it's only because he's playing kind of last on Sunday. Does have Spurs, Everton, Ipswich, and then an FA Cup match he'll have as well, don't he? So he will have a spell of 5 games pretty congested when other teams may only have 3. It looks like he's going to have like a 5 for 3 over Newcastle, for example. And other teams if they are out of the cup as well. But
I've advised people against making this move, but I can actually do Hall to Kanati instead, and maybe that's an
yeah,
option for me.
yeah, I think
Oh,
I think
it's only 3.9. It's cheaper than what I thought it was. I know that there's an injury coming round the corner for him, but I only need him to get through the next 5 or 6, get the extra games out of Liverpool, and then move him on to someone playing in the FA Cup anyway, and that would work out nicely for me.
I had a pretty fortunate weekend for a change in TFF. I brought in 3 Bournemouth, if you remember last week. I brought them in for the Liverpool match. And obviously they didn't return last week, but I did have 2 clean sheets off Kepa and Kirkes this week, which was nice. So I think the 3 teams I'm looking at, and obviously they're through in the FA Cup, which is important now because they always play a strong team. So I think the 3 teams I'm looking at, Liverpool and Palace, are the teams with the most fixtures coming up. Assuming Palace go through as well, both of those teams are going to have quite a few more fixtures than most of the rest of the league actually in this period. Sort of 6 fixtures to everyone else's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth, just in terms of the quality of their fixtures, their next 3, Southampton, Wolves and Brighton. Then they've got an FA Cup game. Then they're going to have Spurs, Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham, Fulham. It just goes on and on for Bournemouth. So I've got my Bournemouth contingent in already, but I think I'm going to go pretty heavy on Palace and Liverpool in the medium term. So just looking, I know Liverpool are out of the cup, but obviously they've got fantastic fixtures up until like the 8th of March, sort of up until the international break. They've got plenty of really good fixtures. So I think Liverpool and Palace. So I've only got Munoz. I think tonight I'm going to go. Just having a quick look. Actually, I brought Jackson in for. I mean, he got an assist against Man. Don't smile like that. I hate when you smile like that. I'm doing Jackson to Mateta tonight. I think I might also do Hall to a Palace defender. Who would be your secondary Palace defender
Yeah,
choice?
Gehi. I like Mitchell, but now you think he might share minutes with Chilwell,
Chilwell,
so
yeah.
it'd be Gehi.
I
It'd be the
think Gahey,
midfielder.
yeah. Jackson to Mateta, Hall to Gahey. I'll still have Gordon. And I'm stuck with 3 up front if I keep Isak, because I was thinking of Gakpo, but I may just do Gordon to Canati or Van Dijk. I think I prefer Van Dijk. I don't think we're going to want Haaland back still for quite a while. Fixtures are still rough, but the only thing then is I'm using 3 transfers. I'll be down to 15 transfers. But I will have 3 Bournemouth, 3 Palace, 2 Liverpool, Palmer, Isak.
I'm sure you said something, got deja vu, and you said, I'm only going to use these 2, but my team's set up for the next 20 weeks after that.
Oh no, do it in blocks, innit? Do it in
I'm
blocks.
joking.
So this thing will take my team through to the next international break, and then we're looking at the game week 29, game week 30. So hopefully at that point, I'll probably use another 1, 2, or even 3. But I don't think it's the worst. Like, I'm looking at my position, right? I rose from 6k to 4.5k. I'm hoping now, with taking advantage of these fixture gains, if Palace win tonight, I would expect to, if I have 2 defenders and Mateta, I would expect to rise another 1,000 odd places. I think our positions are very different at the moment. You're consolidating, probably, even looking for opportunity to attack, but you're consolidating. I've got to start making some moves. So I'm pretty happy with Bournemouth, Palace, and Liverpool in terms of their form, their players, their fixtures. They all line up. So hoping to make some gains there. But yeah, our sort of objectives and style of play at the moment are quite different. I'm not used to being in this position in Telegraph. I've had some. I think the last 4 or 5 seasons, I finished in the top 150 in all of them. So I'm definitely not finishing that this season.
What's a target for you this season?
I did say I was struggling a few months back. I remember back in November we were talking. I was about like 10 or 12k, and I was saying like top 1k would be all right. I still think if I play it quite smart and I just have, it's always, I always think, all being equal, if things go as they should. Like if Palace lose tonight 1-0 to Doncaster, it's a nightmare, right? But if they win 2-0, which is probably the much more expected outcome, I'll be fine. So I do think that if all being equal, with the team I'll have, still think transfers I'll have left, because the top 1k is already down to 12 now, and they're going to have injuries, they're going to have players they don't want. I'd like to think I can get pretty easily still in the top 1k, potentially challenge for the top 500, but I think that's being ambitious. But I just know the gains you can make in the second half of the season. And I'd like to think, if I can get from 10k or 12k in November, my transfer count was quite low then as well. It was like 32. To finish in the top 500, I would see that as a very successful season, actually, then. But yeah, I won't be challenging for any of the mini leagues, sadly, this year. Where do you think you can finish this year in Telegraph?
But similar transfer count to you, and 187th, 183rd, sorry. I have got 4 teams in that are exactly the same as well. So if I'm very much a case of, don't pick your best team, like pick the team that you're most actively managing. But if I'm actively managing them all the same, and I've got an opportunity to diverge or diversify towards the end of the season, make like block defense in one of the teams or something, then I'll attempt it. I don't know, top 50, I think. I don't think I can push any higher than that. Like what I'm more comfortable with now is I feel like I'm in a truer position, because knowing that the only other person outside of you who I know whose transfer count is Dan, and he was sat behind me, and I was like, so I'm in an inflated position because he's got like double the transfers I've got. I'm exaggerating slightly, but he has still got a horde more than me. So the fact that he's above me now, in some weird way, makes me feel more comfortable rather than less comfortable, if you know what I mean.
Dan is flying. I think he got a real chance of winning it, or coming really, really close. I don't know how many he's got left, but I think it's like still 30 plus.
So yeah, I think yeah.
Crazy.
So I say I know his transfer count is not strictly true, but I think you're right. I think he's on something like that, volume wise. So
Yeah,
yeah,
in the Hub WhatsApp group, there's just so many managers who are in great positions with so many transfers left. And
Yep.
it always, like, it's 10th of February now, right? I always go back, when we're talking August and September, and there's always the questions in it about, oh, but should I make the gains now? Should I make the gains now? This is when the gains are made. This is when people are, if you look at the averages now, I think on Friday, and that's bearing in mind that, moves made on the weekend won't be involved in that. The top 10k average was 15. The top 1k average was 12. The top 100 was like 8 or something. People are running out, and people will stop making moves soon because they just can't make moves. Whereas those with lots of transfers can not only get in one player, they can get in 2 or 3 from one team and really take advantage of these blocks. And if they get these results, like if, Liverpool go to Everton and then they go to Wolves, right? And they beat them both 3 or 4-0. And you've got 2 defenders, Salah and Gakpo, you'll have your rank. Wherever you are, you'll have your rank. And you can't do that early on. And it's always interesting. Viney's 117th with 17 left, having a really good season. Well done, Viney.
Pretty close. We're pretty similar.
Yeah.
Do you know, remember we were looking at our net gains from transfers earlier on, a few months back on the pod, and we were talking about I liken it to something that we used to reference in the Sky pod quite a lot. There'll be a position at the end of the season where you can't, or unless you bring in a player that scores an own goal or gets sent off, but you can't make a loss from a transfer.
Absolutely.
Players get ruled out for the season, and therefore any transfer you're making, you're getting 3 or 4 games from a player. So even if you got 4 lots of 2, like 8 points from a transfer, we're talking about 10 being what we agree is a good return on a transfer. And these opportunities will come up again at the end of the season. So having something in reserves definitely wise.
We just hope now over this next month that the results go reasonably as they should. I know you're going to get the odd result. I know you're going to get clean sheets, busts. I know we're going to get all this dodgy thing, but Palace can progress in the cup this evening and win, and get a couple of points, right? I don't think, look at the ownership, that there'll be many people having, say, double, triple Palace. So I really think if I know I'm tempting fate. I know that Palace are going to have a clean sheet bust. They're going to lose now. Mateta's going to pull his hamstring or whatever else, and then the season's gone, right? But all being equal, if Palace win 2-0 tonight, Mateta gets a goal and 2 clean sheets, right? You should knock 20% off your rank, or 30% even, in one game, because people haven't got these sort of players, have they?
All we can do is play the percentages.
Exactly that. Yeah.
I think, and we haven't podded since, but I think the news that Nketiah was injured from Glasgow on Fridays made this, in my opinion, a no-brainer type move.
Assuming Mateta starts, right?
Assuming he starts.
What's now? They'll all be on the bench, and that'll
exactly. Where I think it might be more difficult if you had a forward line of, say, Salah, Isak, and Gakpo.
Yeah,
or
exactly
Salah,
that.
Or Salah, Isak, and Wood. Because I don't know if Wood will play tomorrow or not, but in those situations, I think it is hard. I think it's harder, but.
Agree. Good stuff. Windy 640th with 24 left. Also having a very good season. Well done.
That's good.
Quick look at FPL. I know there hasn't been much, any sort of actual PL action since we podded last, but a couple of things have been confirmed. Obviously, those mega important matches last week. Newcastle beating Arsenal really comfortably, so they're in the final, meaning they will blank in 29. And obviously Liverpool hammered Spurs, woeful Spurs. So them and Villa are doubling next week, which meant those who went with Slot, like myself, were kind of pleased with that outcome. Not being a Spurs fan, but pleased with that sort of outcome there. I've got Rodgers as well, held him through, which is nice. I've got Trent, not sure if he's going to make it, but yeah, it's kind of worked out for me. From an FPL view, sitting pretty. Already got a slot in place. Got 3 free transfers. Haven't given much thought yet to what I'll be doing with the transfers, if I'm being honest. But yeah, how did it work out for your team?
Well, I should it's easy saying this in hindsight because he obviously returned well, and that was unexpected. or I should have stuck to my guns with the triple captain on Salah, because I'm finding myself in a bit of a pickle now that I don't think it's going to be too hard to navigate now to the end of the season, and I've got all my chips, and I don't know, and I can't agree on best way to play them. So I think that I'm swaying towards just triple captain Salah this week. Come in, work out the assistant manager later on in the season when I'll get 4 games over, and I should be able to be pretty flexible by playing a wild card at some point prior to it. It's that whole not being able to play 2 chips in a game week. It's kind of like thrown me, because I don't know that I see the value in going slot this week, like from a fresh. And if Villa didn't have the defensive issues which they've got, I would have maybe considered playing it on Emery this week. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I think I could be set up okay for 29-ish as well, running all the way through, and then either wild card out of into 30. But yeah, I think I'm going to play triple. I've got Rodgers already. I think I'm going to play triple captain on Salah next week, and I would consider taking a hit if Watkins was 100% confirmed fit. What I'm hoping for is Emery's vague on Watkins' availability. It puts off loads of people, and then I don't need to worry about it, and just won't do that either.
So on the 29 against 34 for free hit, because this is I haven't put much thought as yet, as I never do, right? But it looks like 34 now is not going to be a bigger blank, because Liverpool are going to be playing. I think it's Liverpool and Spurs, isn't it? Chelsea and Everton as well.
Yeah.
Have you given any thought yet to that, or are you just trying to muddle through
No,
29
so
regardless?
this is part of the reason why I want Watkins not to be inconclusive as well, because if I retain Isak next week and don't go for Watkins, that makes not using a free hit in 29 very much easier for me, and therefore I think that would almost force my hand in not doing that, and then using the free hit in 34 anyway, and not having to just worry about too much about it. Or I could use a free hit in a double game week, or whatever. It just leaves loads of things open, which will make me think about it more, which is annoying. But
yeah, I yeah, I think I'm free hitting in 29. I think because again, Bournemouth, Palace, especially Palace, they got really good fixtures, and Liverpool and Palace and Villa. I've got Rodgers. I might bring in Watkins again, for example. All these players are going to blank in 29, aren't they? So I don't want.
oh yeah, Newcastle blank as well. I don't know what I was saying about Isak.
Yeah,
Keeping him in doesn't. Ignore me
But
on
at the
that.
moment, I've got Hull and Isak as well, for example. So what I don't want is these next 4 game weeks to be governed by just having enough out in 29, especially since 34 now. It's not looking as appealing. I want to target the teams I want to target, which are Bournemouth. I've already got Utara. I probably want to move to Clivett, for example. Maybe a defender as well. I probably want to go to Mateta as well. You know, Palace's fixtures. They've got 3 home games in the next 4 against Everton, Villa, and Ipswich, who are all leaky. Whereas if you're holding on for 29, you may I may hold on to, I don't know, Wood, for example. Wood is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with Wood, but Wood's fixtures in the next 4 are away to Fulham, away to Newcastle, home to Arsenal, home to Man City. So, but he plays in 29, and it hasn't worked to me in previous seasons. I would say I've taken that approach, and it hasn't worked for me, but I'm like 400k, a really good position now with having slot and 3 free transfers. And I think the way it's worked out with the 34 looking okay, I think I'm going to try and really target these next few. Free hit in 29, wild card in 30, set up a bench boost, I think. I know we'll know more, but set up the bench boost for 33, is it? And just sort of get through it rather than hold off. And I just hate this period between 25, between 25.
You end up just getting injuries anyway. I'm in the sense, I could get 11 out in 29, but by the time you get a couple of injuries and whatnot in there, you're taking hits anyway. So I'm not against that idea as well. Like Man City at home to Brighton, could you go for Haaland and Foden and such, like maybe Gvardiol in that fixture potentially as
I
well.
have a triple captain left as well, which I can then use in like 36, I think. 36
Yeah.
potentially, or something like that, and don't even have to go, it's not going to be going on Salah or Palmer, but it can go on like, maybe, I don't even know, right? But there may be a player like that time, like Mateta or something, who's banging form, got two nice fixtures, you can have a real sort of differential from. So interesting stuff, interesting time. This last week has been the draw of the FA Cup is now on in 20 minutes, right? We could be talking about all this, and it could be, the winner of Palace and Doncaster get Man City, right? And then it's all like, so, yeah.
Makes it interesting for the other games, the other formats, Telegraph and Dream Team.
Absolutely. How's the ultimate leaderboard looking?
I've got something interesting to share with you. So you're sitting 12th overall, which is good position based on the growth that you've got from there. I sound patronising. I didn't even mean to. Genuinely didn't.
That's really good for you, mate. Well done.
No, considering where you were, I meant, and out of 53 like very good managers, I think it's I just thought I genuinely didn't mean it.
It's fine. I'm used to it.
So you've got an average mini league rank of 17.3. Your Telegraph has shot up quite a bit now as well. So I feel like you're very much in touch and distance to everything, all laddered all the way up to Tom Gledel in second. So like tonight, I could see you like increasing places where you're if Palace do well. Clive Fisher in 11th, Carl Bennett in 10th, Peter Clinch in 9th, Ben Lee in 8th, Darren Malloy in 7th, Martin Burke 6th, Ald Wilcox 5th, Gavin Shirley in 4th. I've moved up to 3rd overall. I've climbed up to 7th in Dream Team, which has probably helped. Tom Gledel in 2nd, and then Johnny Curry still way out front. He's now 1st in Dream Team and Telegraph and sitting 10th in FPL. So Tom Gledel's the only one that's got single figure digit ranks across the 3, 5th, 5th, and 8th, which is pretty decent.
I saw that Johnny captained and.They in Dream Team, which is why he's overtaken me. That's a brave. I think he got 6 points.
He was actually, I'd say, really unlucky. Yeah. And.They was on for 8 points and then lost 2 right at the end. He lost, I think it was a shot and got booked right at the end of the game. Otherwise, there'd been an even bigger return based on And.Die's ownership being low. He's getting double the double rather than your Salah returns, etc.
I did look at
you and I are on exactly the same points now.
In what?
At the point on the points tiebreaker.
Oh no! So I can't have that over you anymore.
5-7-9-1.
No way! That's incredible over this whole season. That is crazy.
Because I only noticed because I did the toggle onto the table by points, and you and I are 4th and 5th. But you, I don't know what the tiebreaker is in alphabetical order, maybe.
I tell you what. Looking at Johnny Curry's team as well, he scored 38 points. He's got Munoz to play tonight as well. He's got McAllister in midfield. And And.They captain, who's classed as a midfield in this game as well. He's got a really sort of anti-template team. He's got, he's obviously got Salah. He hasn't got any Man City players. Still got Raya in goals. So yeah, he's got a quite unconventional team. But yeah, he's flying back up to, I think he's like 20th or something overall. So yeah, I'll play Johnny. Good stuff. Interesting evening then, all round. Interesting few weeks. It does feel like I'm 28. I think I went from 33rd to 28th with the Bournemouth double clean sheet. So it just shows how congested it all is there. But I do feel Dream Team. I like to think I can stay in the top few for quite a while, top 5 for quite a while. TFF I'd hope to keep on rising, but I think based on my transfer count, I'll rise and then I'll plateau because there'll be other people dropping, but more will rise above me because I haven't got the transfers to maintain that. I do hope in FPL, I think I'm in a good position, and it's not often I say that in FPL because normally I play too short term, but got slot, got the 3 transfers, already got Rodgers in for next week, so I can properly attack these next few weeks. I'm hoping I can rise in FPL as well as Telegraph. So I'm hoping the next week or two to be able to breach the top 10 for the first time this season, which would be quite nice. But obviously everyone around us is also very, very, engaged and top players, so it's going to be difficult, but superb. Richie just said Isak projected double in Gameweek 36, home to Ipswich, home to Chelsea. Might be quite good. And if Chelsea on the beach and Ipswich are on the beach as well, actually, you'd assume they'd be safe, but yeah, interesting. Good to chat, mate. Enjoyed that. A lot happened this last week, innit? It's
different permutations with different ways to go.
There are. Okay, we're back next week. Be in touch, mate. I don't think I can do Monday again next week, but yeah, I'll be in touch. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed. Hope your seasons are going well. It's all very intricate at the moment, and hopefully in all our mini leagues that we're in with casuals anyway, the cream is starting to rise a little bit now. We'll get that edge with just knowing about these fixtures and and getting the right players in place to take advantage in the future and things. So yeah, hopefully everyone's feeling the same. But yeah, speak to you all next week. Have a good week, everyone. Cheers all.